G'day guys and welcome back. Well, we're here again with the PROCHARGED Falcon, and this thirsty winds is going to need a bunch of fuel, so time to get started on plumbing the fuel system, and after that we're going to get started on the transcooler. So if you guys have been keeping an eye on our socials, you've probably seen that we've got a few packages over the couple of days, and we've actually got another one today. Kurt, you haven't even seen it yet.
No, I haven't. I'm getting a bit excited for that one.
I'm going to blue ball you, and I'm going to wait until last.
Of course.
But, so I guess we'll start off. In the last episode, or one of the last episodes, we were showing you how close we were to fitting this ProCharger hat under a shaker scoop. Now, we weren't quite sure what we're going to do. What we've seen before is people will take like a bit of a pie cut out and try and angle it down. One, it's going to make more work for you, big fella, and it's probably not going to look super pretty either, is it?
No.
So we did a little bit of searching around, and we've managed to come up with this one here. You can see it's a totally different design. I'll probably sit it on this box, it might give us a better idea. You can see...
I'll come through from behind you there, you get it sit.
Yeah, you can see it sits a lot lower than the ProCharger one, and it's probably going to give us as much as we needed, really, to get the job done. So
Yeah, it's pretty close, it's pretty close.
it's a bit of a gamble. We weren't sure how it was going to work out, but I mean, if that didn't work out, we thought it might work, but it was touch and go. So if it didn't work, it was going to need a reverse carb bonnet. The way we justified it was that's going to be probably at least $1,000 by the time it's painted and whatnot. This here, by the time it was landed, was $300. $300 gamble, because if it wasn't any lower than that one, because we were only going by pictures and drawings, you know, with measurements, but if this one wasn't any lower, then it was still going to need a reverse carb bonnet, but this does look like it's going to be a fair bit shorter, hey?
Yeah,
So,
it's fair, it's definitely a heap lower, it's a little bit shorter, but it's still, for the way, the orientation that we want it for the cooler piping and fitting it in the cutout, yeah, it's still pretty close. It still might need some modifying yet, but
yeah, no, but I think it's better spot than where we're at.
yeah,
before.
definitely.
We're going to go into fuel system stuff, so I figured I should show you guys exactly what we're going to run. So we've got a MagnaFuel 750 Pro Tuner pump. These are a cracker pump. Our mate Warby, who you would have seen in a previous episode with his GDO, he runs one of these at just over 750 wheel horsepower on the 85. That's fuel injected, so this being a carbureted deal, it'd probably support even more than that, because low pressure, high flow. So going to use one of those on the 85, which I'll get onto shortly. We got this sweet, this was TC Engines, which I believe are in Adelaide, I think. Dash 10 fuel log, and it's adjustable, so it will suit a Holley or a Dominator or whatever carb you're running. So these are a pretty sweet piece, nice anodized billet.
It's a nice alternative to plumbing it with hose anyway.
Yeah, that's it. I know you like the hose look. I'm not a big fan of the hose look. Michael wanted that one, so I'll win. That's that.
Yeah.
But here's a good way to remortgage your house, Kurt. We've got a nice fat box of SPEEDFLOW from our good friends at Lost Racing Products.
Yeah, there's quite a few fittings missing out of there, because off camera we started mocking stuff up, stuff like that. But you know, a box like that, yeah, you know, you've spent a few $1,000s when you're buying it, especially with the Dash 10. You know, adds up quick.
Yeah, so we're going to run a Dash 10 feed and return on this. So it's got some pretty fat fuel line. Got a bunch of Dash 10 line, 2 filters, you know, all your hose ends, filter brackets. I actually got these filter brackets from a local dude. I've got to give him a bit of a shout out, really, Sean at Adrenaline. These are one thing that I forgot to order on SPEEDFLOW order, so I went around and I saw him. These are some Turbo Smart brackets that he had on the shelf for his own car, and he's given them to me so that we can get cracking. So cheers to that, mate. This is probably what you're really excited about, isn't it? These big stonking things here.
Some tools.
Big parrot beak shears. Now, both of us would usually cut the line with a 1mm sort of cutting disc on a grinder in the past.
Which works well, but
does work well.
It works really well actually. The problem is it fills your lineup with trash from the hose. You know, it's either if you're using the 100 series stuff, it'll be the rubber.
Yeah.
And if you're using like what we're using here, that's the 200 series, which we should
Teflon
mention. That's all Teflon line 200 series. So you're just getting minute particles of Teflon line through your thing, which you need to blow out and clean and stuff. And if you don't, that will fill your filters up, and if you're running fuel injection, that will trash your injectors.
Absolutely.
Quick, smart. So.
In a big hurry. So we did lash out and we bought a set of the cutters. We've been meaning to do it for ages, but laziness really. And what worked. 1 mil cutting disc, but we're finally upgraded. So this is what we're going to be spending the majority of today working with. All that SPEEDFLOW gear, putting together hoses and just sort of routing where it needs to go. In here we got a sweet box of goodies from Race Car Engineering in Queensland. There they are there, RCE Performance.
Get it in there real close.
There you go. Oh, nice big plug there.
They've looked after us really well on this package again. So.
Yeah, they did, and it was it was just great service really. They had this one thing that we needed was an alternator bracket. That was something that the one thing of the whole order that they didn't have in stock, but they actually got this airbag freighted to us from their supplier. So thanks to Craig at RCE. Top-notch service, really appreciate it. They're a Holley dealer as well, so most of this stuff is, Holley Corporation owns
everything.
Just about everything now. They are more or less, the monopoly on performance industry. So those guys can do a cracker deal on the products. So if you're looking for anything Holley, and that's B&M, that's just
MSD,
there's a
Holley EFI. They do tons and tons and tons of Holley EFI stuff. That stuff's gaining mad traction over here now, and it's a pretty good product. So if you're looking for that sort of stuff, I think they've got like every part number just about. It's ridiculous, it really is.
So this is our Aeromotive fuel reg, which is obviously something that we're going to be running with today. That there, nice and black. And we've also got our transcooler, which we'll probably run into a little bit later on. Once we get this fuel thing happening. Piece de resistance, Kurt. This is the bit you're excited to see, isn't it?
Yeah, get it out.
So we sent our carby off to Wayne at Performance Carb Tuning. It had been sitting for a long time, just needed someone to go through it, and basically the carb that we were supplied when we purchased the engine, now bearing in mind we did purchase the engine second-hand, it's brand new but was owned by someone.
It was never fitted to a car.
No, that's right. Yeah,
it's an unknown thing. When you're buying engines, you really don't know, and we still don't really know. Like we've looked, we've had a look, we've checked the bottom end and stuff when we bought it. We've looked at all the parts that are there. The hard parts are, what we thought. But this still is essentially an untested engine, and at the price point, you take that gamble. What I mean?
For sure. But everything else so far is checked out. The carby though really wasn't fit for purpose. So Wayne recommended to build a new carb for us, but it also gave us a golden opportunity. That was actually an unleaded petrol carby, so it was going to be a pump fuel deal, which really would have limited us long term, because boost, pump fuel, this is going to be unintercooled as well, because we don't want to cut the car up and put a big intercooler in it. So it really would have been octane limited. We've now managed to talk Michael into making the switch to E85, which is really good news for us. And we've got this sweet, custom built by Wayne. Let's get in there, mate, get in there. There it is. I'll get it out of the box for us. This is a sweet 900 CFM quick fuel carb, obviously, with all the modifications done by Wayne to suit our blow-through applications. So wasn't a cheap exercise. You pay for what you get, don't you, Kurt?
That's if there's a common theme on this channel that you're gonna see, and especially if you're kind of like local and you know the scene, we only use people that we know and trust that are sort of the best. We don't you don't want to skimp on quality. You know, there's no point stepping over dollars to pick up dimes, as they say.
Look
you know
at this
what I mean?
car, man. We're not going to fit this car out with something that's cheaper just for the sake of saving a couple of dollars. The money has already been spent in the car, so there's no point skimping out now.
So we try to use the best that we can get, basically.
And that doesn't mean that we just go splashing money out on anything. Like we do save money where we can, but we do spend the money where it needs to be spent. And fuel delivery in a boosted application is number one. Honestly, we're kind of spewing that we found out that other carby was trash after we bought the MSD gear that we'd already fitted, because had we have known that earlier, probably would have put a Holley Terminator kit or something on it. What do you reckon, Kurt?
Yeah, it was a missed opportunity, and we spoke about it before, but it just so happened to be that we didn't get the carby up there in time, and we'd already ordered obviously all the ignition stuff. So you spend a couple $1,000s on all new ignition components, which are 100% fit for purpose, but then only to find out that the carburetor is just it's just a non-event.
Yeah.
It was a missed opportunity, but you live and learn. It doesn't matter. This is going to do great anyway, and
exactly.
We're going to be dealing with Wayne. He does a great job. If we ended up with the Holley, we would have been, hopefully working with Jeff at Street Build. So either way you go, we're in good hands.
Yeah, that's right. No, Wayne's been a great help so far. We haven't had to deal with him before. We haven't dealt with him before on any projects, but he's been a great help. He's given us plenty of advice, and it's really been a good thing. So really looking forward to seeing what this thing can do. But I guess it's time to stop yammering, because we've been banging on for a good 10 minutes now.
Yeah.
Let's get stuck into doing some work, eh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, so I thought I'd just give you guys a real quick rundown on what we're using here. So, I said before, dash 10, that's obviously the size. AN, Army Navy, or Aircraft Navy, one of the two. This stuff here is 200 series, so Teflon or PTFE lined. You can probably see just in there in one of the earlier shots that you've got this plastic liner that goes inside this stainless steel braid, which basically the stainless steel braid gives it its rigidity and also helps it to form, because otherwise that Teflon liner inside it wants to kink more or less all the time. When you're assembling these things, it's really quite simple. Everyone's really daunted by it. The 100 series stuff's a lot easier because it's just a rubber line hose. You just put the collar on, smash the end on, screw it together. This has the extra step in that you'll put the nut over the braid first, then you want to spread the braid from the Teflon, and then you'll put this ferrule or ferrule, depending on what your accent is like. And then after you've got that bad boy sitting in there, it's time to get this hose end on. Now this is obviously a 180 degree. We're going to have this going into our fuel log, and it is as simple as just slipping it in there. Put a little bit of oil on it as well, a little bit of lube. You don't want to go in dry, not when you can help it. Just give it a little bit of force like that, and that's all it should be. From there, we can pull it in to our collar, and we can it should start by hand.
Yeah, don't forget to put a bit of lube on the threads as well, because aluminium threads, sometimes they're quite fine threads, these ones, and they can, you know, it is actually pretty easy to get it started a bit crooked sometimes.
That's right. You don't want to gall it up.
No,
and
that's right.
also, a thing that I've done in the past is don't tighten these jaws very tight, because this is only aluminium and it will oval out very easily. And this particular fitting here is probably worth, what, about 80 bucks?
Something like that. I don't look. You just, you know what you need and you buy it, and
yeah,
whatever.
You don't want it to be bad. So as you can see there, I've started off by hand very easily. It wasn't very difficult at all. Now we've bought these anodized aluminium spanners from SPEEDFLOW, because if you use a steel spanner, and you can, there's no problem with that, but this being aluminium, it is soft. The anodizing will scratch up very easily. This one here is going on the front of the fuel log, so if there's any blemishes, everyone's going to see it. So I'm going to use the anodized alloy spanner. This will mark before that does. So
no one wants a skegged up $80 bloody anodized black fitting.
No, that's it.
That'll ruin your day, I reckon.
That's it. Oh, bro, we've got heaps more of these to do. Let's do it. Gotta line your flats up, bro. So, that was not a Kurt recommended procedure, was it?
No, if you're at home watching this, and if I was at home watching this, I'd be wondering, what the hell are you guys doing? It's like midnight, that's why I'm using a hacksaw. Been doing it for 15 years, I don't think I've ever cut something like this with a hacksaw, but anyway, hacksaw, you know. This bracket, you'd be thinking, why are you making a bracket for your bracket? We can't drill any unnecessary holes in the car. Mick wants it, you know, as untouched as what we can get, which makes sense. That's fine. That's all fine, well and good. So that's why I'm picking up on some old nutserts for the old fuel pump that was there.
Yeah.
I didn't even take that off. That was a fuel pump, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So the old fuel pump, we're just reusing those nutserts, and we're doing a bit of a bracket here. I'll clean this up later with some power tools. This is ridiculous, but
yeah, that, like Kurt said, it's any normal person would just find where they want to put the filter and drill 2 holes. But as you can see under here, we've got 2 nutserts there, which we used to hold the Holley black that was in here before, and that was obviously a fuel line access hole as well. But there's literally no other holes under this car, so had to make a bracket.
We are going to have to drill some holes. Sorry to cut you off there, Jeff. I'm good at that, but we are going to have to drill holes, and Mick's fine with that. But you know,
we try to limit it where we can.
When you've already got 2 like filthy nutserts in the car already, there's no point leaving them there doing nothing and then putting another 2 to use. We just do this little bracket. We put some black on it. It should be alright. We'll do the job.
It'll be like a bought one. Alright, new day. Wasn't going to keep showing you, I was just putting hose ends on, hose ends on, hose ends on. It gets a bit monotonous. And it was starting to get way too late the other night, but here we are. Look at that. I've drilled a hole in the car, RIP Michael, for the return. You can see I've got the routing sorted. There's our filter, which we made the bracket for. And obviously it's not all sort of tied up yet. I've got to put some P-clamps on and whatnot. We've got some of these sweet billet hose separators that we also got from Lost Racing. But yeah, we haven't really, I've got to get the P-clamp sorted so we can hold this hose off the handbrake cable there, and also try and figure out what we're going to do here, because this is probably where we're going to mount the transcooler, just under the passenger front seat. So we'll basically use a bracket off here and a bracket off the cross member to hold the transcooler, and we'll mount the hose to that bracket as well. So, but next port of call now is, I guess I've got to mount the fuel cell in its final resting place. So drill a couple of holes and put some bolts in. From there, once that's in its fixed position, I can then put the return from the bulkhead to the tank, and also start doing the feed from the pump to the bulkhead as well. So let's do that. So that is the fuel system, pretty much a sealed unit, and it's looking pretty tricked. So you can obviously see here in the boot we've got that 95 litre fuel cell, and there's dash 10 feed out of the tank into a pre-pump filter. Got our MagnaFuel 750 Pro tuner going to the bulkhead, to the lines that go under the car. Up the back here you got a fuel return there that comes
from, I don't know if you can see, let me adjust the camera. Yeah, got a sweet little bulkhead set up there, which goes up to our return. That looks super neat. Also got our tank vent up the top corner there with an anti-rollover valve, so if heaven forbid this car rolls, it doesn't spew fuel everywhere. These bars that we're sitting the cell on, Kurt's going to weld some alley caps onto them, give it a bit of extra strength. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the floor yet. Michael might want to keep it raw alley, but I think he'll probably paint it white to match the car. We'll paint the bars black, paint the floor white. That's how I kind of see this going. But man, I'll tell you what, this has turned out super neat. I'm actually really happy with it. Up the front, you can see, obviously we've got our dash 10 feed up to the front of the fuel log. I'm actually going to shorten this hose a little bit. It just seems like there is a little bit of tension on it when I'm trying to do it up because of the length. I reckon if I take about that much off it, doesn't need to be much, it's just going to sit a hell of a lot nicer. It's just going to take all the tension out of that fitting there, and that's super important as well. But we've got our sweet fuel pressure gauge, fuel reg, and you can see the return line there ducking back under the car. So that fuel system there, I reckon in a carbureted form should probably support about 1200 horsepower on E85, probably more if you're using unleaded or you know, pump gasoline type fuel, but it's definitely going to do what we need it to do. But for now guys, the sun is setting here in the west. I'm going to go inside for dinner. After dinner, Kurt's going to come around and we are going to get stuck into this transcooler. So see you in a minute. Alright horse, what do you reckon? We've had a bit of a look, and you reckon you found your spot?
Yeah, I reckon just up here in this little nook is, there's not a lot of room, but I think I can make it work.
Yep.
I'm just going to get a bit of the braid and run it through here just to make sure I can get the bend radius, that it's not going to kink the liner or anything like that. But
yeah,
other than that,
bit of fire sleeve, be able to put it over the case, but
yeah, I reckon we should probably just sleeve the entire line really.
Yeah.
Thinking about it now that you've got the pipes and that, it'll stop any of the braid wearing on the case or, you know, anything like that. So
yeah, good idea.
yeah.
So you found your little spot there, you happy with that? How are you
Yeah.
going to hang it? We're not going to make a bracket this time, we're just pretty much going to...
Yeah, well, you and I come up with the idea. It seemed like an easy idea. We just make some spaces and go through the floor. Once we get it all bolted up, if I'm not happy with it, I might join it up with another bit of stainless or something like that if it needs a bit more rigidity, but keep it simple.
I think it'll probably be alright.
Yeah, keep it simple and fucking, yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, but the only problem is mounting it under the floor, it's going to get like hit with rocks and dirt and stuff.
Yeah.
Just like if it was mounted on the front of the car.
Yeah, well, anyway, it'll be fine.
I love the internet.
Yeah, that'll be alright.
Alright bro, let's get into it.
She's tight. Why are you doing that, you dog?
This hammer's broken.
My fucking hand will be broken in a minute. I'll pick that up.
Happy?
Yep.
Get it in.
These spanners are nice, boy.
Aren't they?
Hey.
so big horse. Look at that. That turned out mint.
Spit it up, bro.
Yep. It looks a little bit ugly at the minute, but obviously we could dust a bit of black paint on there and that'll look just as nice as everything else. But fitment turned out pretty good.
Yeah, it's all still mock-up. I'll probably adjust a few of these heights to get it sort of fitting a bit more level. Obviously I'll use nylocks and stuff in here as well. These are just normal black nuts, I guess that's what I call them. Just normal standard black nuts, so they're just easy for mock-up. You don't have to bloody hold the top of the bolt and stuff like that. So
that's right. But I mean, all this has got to come out again anyway, because the box does have to come back out because there's no converter in it, and we need a different flex plate as well.
Yeah, that's right. We've got to get that JW flex plate, TCE converter.
Yeah.
All the lines worked out really good. We'll probably throw some sleeve on those.
Yeah, I'll actually pop around on this side and give the people a bit of a look. You can see, I probably can't see because I've got a shadow from that light. Yep. You can just see, it's just popped up through there. Yeah, it's neat, it's tight, but it is definitely neat. And with a bit of heat sleeve on there, that won't suffer from any rubbing or anything. We've got, just sits just over the case. This goes over the top of the case, under the shift cable, and into these, I can't remember if they are 150 degree or 120 degree fittings there on the side of the box. Can you remember what they were?
I think they're 150s, man.
Yeah, I think they're 150s as well. But no, I'm super happy with that. I mean, you could, we were just saying before, you could just about hang off that transcooler if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's a pretty basic solution really. It's probably more basic than what I'd normally do, but it looks like it'll do the job just fine. So,
and it's far less intrusive as if we were going to make a bracket that mounted to the chassis. I reckon.
we got,
because otherwise it would have been like bigger holes, nutserts.
Yep.
Like we've literally just drilled 4 small 6mm holes.
Yep.
If they wanted to get taken out at any point, just put a couple of grommets in there. She's good as.
Yeah, you can't build a car like this and put the stuff in it without drilling some holes and cutting some stuff. Mick's pretty stern on not wanting to modify it too much, but we've kind of stitched him up here a little bit. But we're doing our best to not molest it too much. I mean, it's it is what it is.
Yeah, we're doing what we can, and we have minimised it a lot, I think, but that's pretty much it for this one, dude.
Yeah,
we've got the fuel system pretty much done. I just got to wait for some of those vinyl coated P clamps so that we can secure the fuel lines in their final position. They're pretty much laid out where we want them. We just got to get them pinned up.
Yeah, we got that other bracket to make off the back there to sort of hold the line off the handbrake cable as well.
Yeah.
Another bracket.
Yeah, so there's just a couple of little brackets.
There's always
there.
fiddly stuff.
Yeah.
But the main sort of bulk of it is sort of run and done. So.
Yeah, that's it. And the transcooler's done, which is pretty much what we wanted to achieve for this episode. Was fuel system, transcooler, done. Next episode, wiring. Gonna have to wire up that. That's me. That's a me thing. So I'm gonna have to wire up the MSD setup. We've got the crank trigger, we've got the map sensor, we've got everything that we need. So that's probably where I'll go on the next one, and we'll probably start looking at some of the fabrication jobs.
Yes, we've got to modify the headers.
Yeah, one primary on the headers, yeah.
Yep, what we think at this point. It's
so
one at this point.
Yeah.
Then it's obviously charge pipe. I'll probably might have to reluctantly modify that hat, the new hat we got, just to get it under the bonnet. Yeah, we're gonna have to get some more parts for that. But coming up to Christmas now, we're gonna be pushing shit up the proverbial hill. So
absolutely,
we'll see what we can do. But yeah, I definitely want to try and get those bits and pieces so we can get started on it. We've also got to modify the rocker cover as well. So yeah, there's
still a fair few bits and pieces to go. So we've got a couple more parts to order, like you were saying before: flex plate, torque converter, tail shaft. We need a starter motor, alternator. So there's still a bunch of stuff that we need to get and stuff to get through. But we are actually looking pretty close to being able to hear this thing.
Yeah, we're on the back foot a little bit, honestly. Like we would have hoped we had a little bit more done at this point, especially when we've released the video and stuff like that. But
yeah.
it is what it is. You know, Mick's got to pay for all this stuff. He's got to work for it. You know.
That's right.
The combination he originally wanted, he probably spent enough to build that engine by now. So
definitely, yeah.
He's got to have a couple hundred extra horsepower, but it's costing a little bit more. So.
Yeah. Oh well, we've come this far and we ain't gonna stop now. So. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a pretty long video. I can already tell this one's going to be a long one, but hit the subscribe button if you want to see the next episode and you won't miss this thing roar into life because it is going to sound insane.
Yeah, it's going to be nasty. That's how we like it.
Thanks again for watching, guys. It's getting late as it's like about midnight here again on the second midnight run, so we'll catch you on the next one. Until then, cheers.